Hello, welcome to Geeks Unleashed. This is episode 80. And as usual, I'm Mark.
And I am Jasmin.
And this week is, well, today on our recording is Christmas Jumper Day. So here is mine.
I'm kind of jealous we don't have Christmas Jumper Day here in the US. It's not a thing.
We're recording on a Friday. Episode is out on Sunday, but I am, for the YouTubers, wearing Stranger Things jumper. So but for the whole month of December, we are honoring Spider-Man No Way Home. We're talking about all things Spidey this month. But for this episode, we are focusing on The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, starring Andrew Garfield.
And spoiler warning. Okay, 9 years in the making. This spoiler warning, by the way. If you have not seen the 2012 and 2014 Amazing Spider-Man films, can't help you. We're about to spoil all of them right now.
Which was you until like a few days
which
ago.
was me until yesterday.
Yeah.
So if you have not seen these films, like I can definitely relate. Also, before we get started, if you are watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe to our channel, like this video, leave us a comment, let us know what you thought about the Amazing Spider-Man films. And if you are listening to this podcast, then please, by all means, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser.
Actually, if you're on YouTube, in the comments, like, let us know your ratings, like out of 5, like before we even start. What is your rating of 1 and 2, like that, and anything else you want to just add in there, like, but like, especially want to know what you'd rate 1 and 2. That'd be awesome.
Or if anyone else is a first time watcher like me in 2021, so that'd be nice to talk about.
Before we jump into the reviews, there is one piece of news that you wanted to cover, Jasmin, especially.
One piece.
I don't think you wanted to cover it.
No, I didn't. But I am really bummed. Netflix, 3 weeks in to this series dropping, Netflix has announced that it has canceled Cowboy Bebop, the live action series. And I'm just like, I'm bummed. Yes, it had its problems. And yes, I can understand how it would be a niche audience, but there was potential there. Like there was potential, and now I'm bummed that we won't get to see it. Although I took issue with, I don't know why they had to give Jet a kid. Like, why did Jet have to have a kid? That was completely unnecessary. Whatever. But yeah, I'm bummed because no more Ein, no more Ed. Just there's so much stuff that we don't get, and it's just like, why did you do this to us, Netflix? Why? So I'm definitely waiting on more of those stories to come out, because I really want to know like what the deal was with why they canceled it so quickly.
I was gonna say, unfortunately, I haven't even had a chance to watch it yet. Like, it was on my list of Christmas catch-ups. Like, when I break up for Christmas, like, I wanted to do that.
Yeah,
that was one of the shows. I'm still gonna do it. I don't care. Like, it's been cancelled, but
yeah,
I mean, maybe if enough people jump in it, Netflix might bring it back, or
maybe
something.
Somebody else will pick it up. Amazon, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if Netflix own the rights to it. I don't know how. I don't know anything. I know nothing.
Bummer. Damn you, Netflix. I think that was a wrong move.
Oh, they're becoming very much TV network though now, aren't they?
I know, yeah.
Ruthless.
Yeah,
like,
they're like, you don't make the cut, you get the axe. It's like, no, come on, Netflix. You're supposed to give the axe after the second season. Like, they're at least supposed to get a second season at Netflix.
They kind of like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it wasn't in the top 10 long enough or something like that. So
maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just anime adaptations in general have a hard time kind of doing big numbers outside of the anime community.
They clearly have like, I don't know. They probably have some sort of AI behind that shows like what the initial viewing figures are like. Because Jupiter's Legacy got cancelled pretty much within about a week as well.
To be fair,
well, yeah, I mean,
Jupiter's Legacy was pretty awful.
Jupiter's Legacy was up there with probably one of the worst things I'd seen this year. Trying to think what else I saw was terrible.
That was oh boy, yeah. If you haven't seen Jupiter's Legacy, we reviewed that season on Netflix. Go back and listen to that episode, because we had issues. We had just issues all up and down with that series. So neither one of us was surprised at all when it was canceled.
I was thinking about this, like the worst of stuff this year. Like the worst thing I read was Cult of Dracula.
Ooh, yeah, that's pretty bad.
The worst thing I watched, Jupiter's Legacy was definitely up there. I've forgotten what else I watched now.
Queen's Gambit was the worst thing I watched this year.
That's a lie. Like, that's one of the best things I watched this year. So I just don't think you've realised the brilliance of it yet.
Oh, is that what you think? Is that what you think is happening?
I think
it was boring. Okay, so again, if you have not seen the Queen's Gambit or haven't heard that, we covered that too, and I think that's probably one of like the only episodes where you and I were just so polar opposite in like what we thought about what we were reviewing.
More combat.
Oh yeah. Well,
actually,
combat.
but I liked. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I accidentally touched this. I have a.
The mic is sensitive.
The mic has become sensitive. I don't know what's going on. I can't touch the cable.
We're working on it.
Like just before we started recording, all of a sudden the cables decided to have a problem. And
if you want to help us out, guys, you can always become a Patreon.
Buy me new cables.
Yeah, become a Patreon. We can buy some new equipment. We can get the things going a little bit better.
We can edit these videos, which we aren't doing. Like
we want to. It is not happening yet.
We will edit. That was actually on my to-do list for Christmas. Is looking to how to edit videos.
Yeah.
So if you want to, we don't really.
You want to help? You want to volunteer? We would love some tips on video editing, please.
Well, if you want to do it for us. Wait,
as a volunteer, we can pay you in comics.
Oh, interns. Like, careful with that. Like that still costs money.
We can pay you in one comic a month.
Do you know how much these things?
That's our rate.
Do you know how much these things cost? This is already. I feel like it's going off the rails already. This show. We haven't even started talking about Amazing Spider-Man, which also went off the rails.
Oh boy, did it! Wow.
So okay. Let's wait. We're not ready yet. So before we get started, I've got my beer. I'm ready to go.
Just got water today.
I've got my snacks. We've done our news, so I think
go time.
I was gonna say though, are you almost ready for Christmas?
No.
No.
I mean, well.
I feel. Really
I have gotten
prepared.
all of my gifts. That's done, thankfully. Yeah. But I was in no mood whatsoever this year to decorate. So when I went to the grocery store, I went to Trader Joe's. They had these tiny little glitter trees out front. So I bought a tiny little glitter tree. It's like this tall. And that is my Christmas tree this year. And that is the extent of the decorating that I am doing.
Oh, right. So are you ready for our reviews?
Yes.
Let's go.
We're doing it. Okay. The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Very clever titles. We love them. Thank you.
I was gonna say I like the fact that the Amazing Spider-Man 1 I think was good. Yes. Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
I think if
not as bad as Spider-Man 3.
No. Oh, no. What I mean is in terms of titles, like, so obviously with the Sam Raimi ones, we had Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. Like, okay, fine. But when they called it the Amazing Spider-Man, I think it would have been cool if, say, the second one had been like the Spectacular Spider-Man, or like kind of to take, because obviously there's been many comics of Spider-Man. You got Web of Spider-Man, whatever. It would have been awesome if they decided for each movie to take a different title from the comics. I don't know, it wouldn't have changed the content, but it would have been cool. I always kind of hate the whole 2, whatever.
Well, I mean, or in Scream's case, 5.
Yeah, well, yeah, no. What I mean is, I always kind of hate just the number. I kind of think,
it's just kind of boring.
Or have a subtitle at least. There's no subtitle.
Unlike with the MCU ones, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yeah, or Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah,
very obsessed with home.
Well, they have said this is the end of the Homecoming trilogy, so the Home trilogy. Anyway, Carry on with what you were saying.
All right. So Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2, distributed by Columbia and Sony, directed by Mark Webb. Okay, seriously? We have a Spider-Man film directed by a guy whose last name is Webb? I thought that was a bit much, but okay. Mark Webb directed both films. Screenwriters and storytellers for both films include James Vanderbilt, Alvin Sargent, Steve Kloves. And by the way, Alvin Sargent and James Vanderbilt were part of the Sam Raimi trilogy as well. They are the only two that kind of came back in some capacity for these. Steve Kloves, Alex Kurtzman, Robert Orsi, and Jeff Pinker are the rest of the crew that round up the writing team for these films. It stars brand new Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield. Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, Reese Ifans as Dr. Connors, Dennis Leary as, what was his name? Captain Stacy? I don't remember his first name.
Stacy. Yeah.
Campbell Scott is Richard Parker. Irfan Khan, did he have a name? He was just sort of like this mysterious guy working for Norman Osborn. Martin Sheen played Uncle Ben. Sally Field played Aunt May. Jamie Foxx plays Electro. Dane DeHaan plays Harry Osborn. Beth Davids is Peter's mom. Mary, there we go, Mary Parker. Colm Feore plays some very bad guy. He's great at playing bad guys. He's always a bad guy. Watch him in Chronicles of Riddick. Very bad guy. Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti plays the Rhino. And there's so many other people in these films, including I got a little sentimental when I saw the two Stan Lee cameos.
Oh, like
we don't get those anymore. Yeah.
Oh, well, I was going to say, of the Stan Lee cameos, in the first movie when he's got the headphones on.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And like he's listening to orchestra music or classical music or something, and there's the whole fight.
Yeah,
and then
in
the
the
table
library.
the table come flinging at him, and Peter quickly grabs it, pulls it back, and he's completely oblivious.
Yeah.
I was actually, when I saw that, I thought that's probably my favorite Stan Lee guest appearance. And like you say, I think it's brilliant that Stan Lee shows up in pretty much every Marvel thing.
Yeah.
Uh-oh,
your mic is cutting out. Sorry.
Oh, did my mic go?
Yeah, there you go. Now you're back.
Sorry. I need to be careful with my hands, I think. I was gonna say, it's a shame that we just don't get the Stan Lee cameos anymore. So but yeah, I think they should
he had a good run though. I mean,
maybe they should do it with Feige now. Have Feige show up in everything.
He's not the same.
I know it's not the same.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's kind of just cool to have the cameo of I mean, I guess what I mean is Feige's so instrumental in the MCU. It would be kind of cool to have him show up, but then you kind of want to honor Stan Lee.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be done for the same reasons. It would,
Yeah, wouldn't have the same impact.
No, it wouldn't have the same impact. I don't think necessarily people would care about seeing Feige, but
yeah, right.
It was quite cool to have the fact that Stan Lee just shows up in everything.
Yes.
Anyway. Right. So Amazing Spider-Man came out in 2012, which I find a bit ironic considering the Sam Raimi movie number 4 would have come out in 2011. So had Sony been a little bit more patient, they could have carried on with a much more established franchise.
Yeah.
So literally Sam Raimi just asked for more time. I mean, so they didn't give him the more time. So we ended up with a complete reboot.
Yeah, that took more time anyway.
Yeah. So it released in the US on the 3rd of July, 2012. In the UK, we got it a little bit earlier, came on the 27th of June, 2012, with a budget of 230 million and a worldwide box office earnings of 758 million. So it's a good return financially, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the film's definitely made money. There's no question about it.
So Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out in 2014. So they're pretty hot. They were banging there again.
Yep.
Release dates, US was the 2nd of May 2014. In the UK, we got it almost 2 weeks earlier, 16th of April 2014. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it was after 2010 was when you guys started getting movies before we did. when they just started opening before before here.
I think I might mention this before, but I had heard the reason for that was like because we're the UK a lot smaller. They weren't as bothered necessarily. People that like US wasn't as bothered about us having it first because we created a bit of buzz,
right?
Like so through things like social media and stuff. So then people in the US would start hopefully seeing the positive reviews from the UK, and that would then generate more people to go to the theater and see the movie. The so-called movie. So
these movies did really well in Asia. They did really, really well in Japan, and they surprisingly did really well in China as well. But neither one of these films made as much money as either any of the 3 first Spider-Man films.
So the budget for number 2 was $293 million US, and at the worldwide box office, the earnings were $709 million US. So before we jump into this, like I saw these 2 films at the cinema, but I remember for Amazing Spider-Man number 1, I literally went in like the last week that it was in the theaters.
Yeah,
and I have to say I had the same. I can remember this when I was watching this week. I had the same feeling about these films as the third Hellboy film. So I still haven't seen the third Hellboy film, and I will if we ever go and do it for this podcast, I'll do it. But otherwise, other than that, I've got no interest in it.
It's not bad.
Like, no, it might be a good film, but I was annoyed that they didn't carry on the original from the original. I just thought you've just got 2 bloody fantastic films, and I don't know why you're not carrying on. Like, sure, they must have cost the same amount of money to have made. Like. And you would have had an already established fan base, and everybody was so desperate for a Hellboy 3. I don't know. So, and everybody wanted a Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4. We just didn't. We just wanted
Sony.
We just wanted Spider-Man 1 and 2, like that kind of tone and stuff like that. We just didn't want whatever was going on in Spider-Man 3. So we wanted them to kind of like back to basics for 4 and 5 and 6 potentially. And all they had to do is just be a bit patient. Give Sam Raimi another year or 2. Like if he puts out a better quality product, you wouldn't be in the position now where you need Marvel. So. They're making probably a crap load more than I obviously haven't seen the budgets and stuff, but they're probably making a lot more through their deal with Marvel, and it's worked out for a lot of us to have that deal.
Oh yeah.
But I would love to have seen the Sam Raimi franchise finished. Like it would have been amazing. So amazing. It would have been amazing. I didn't do that. I didn't do that deliberately, but
Sure, Mark. Sure.
Oh, sure. Anyway. So, Jasmin, take it away.
Oh, guys. Summary. Okay. So, this again, I'm very new. This is my first time watching both of these films. In The Amazing Spider-Man, we get a whole new Peter Parker origin story, as if we hadn't just had one in 2002, 10 years ago. We just had one 10 years before. Now we're getting a whole new Spider-Man origin story, except this time we actually meet Peter's parents before they leave him with Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Eventually we get to the tragic murder of Uncle Ben, albeit without the famous "with great power comes great responsibility" line. There was like a callback to it where Uncle Ben was kind of like, it's not about choice, it's about responsibility. It just didn't hit the same as the usual line. This film is about Peter's search for answers about his parents, which leads him to Oscorp, which leads him to Dr. Connors, and eventually being bitten by a radioactive spider. There's a lot of web slinging, but there is also a lot of talking. I mean, there is just Andrew Garfield talks so much in these films as Peter Parker. The film, it's very wordy, but like I'm not sure if this is just Andrew himself or like if they really wanted a very loquacious character. Like I don't know what they were doing there. Eventually we get a villain because Lord knows whenever you have a scientist, it makes perfect sense for the scientists to inject themselves with whatever serum they're working on just to test it to see if it works, right? There's also this mysterious guy that keeps coming in and out of the picture. He's working for Norman Osborn, and he's pressuring Dr. Connors to get the serum right because the serum is going to be the thing that saves Norman Osborn's life. Eventually we wind up with course, injecting yourself with random scientific things doesn't always go well. And we wind up with a giant lizard that happens to start terrorizing New York City. And of course, he is being pursued by a human that has been genetically altered with spider DNA because, again, Hollywood, right? So there's explosions, and then there's drama, and then there's also some kind of love story between Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy, and then there's a whole lot of dead father figures in this first film. It's kind of morbid. It's a lot of dead dads. I don't it's just a lot going on.
There's a conversation I actually have with my children every time we're watching something, like somebody dies, like whatever, and I'm like, look, this is what happens. Like to set up the story, somebody needs to die, like The Lion King, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Whatever it is, Bambi,
To this day, I still fast forward past Mufasa dying. Like, I just don't ever watch it.
Yeah, literally, there's always a reason. Unfortunately, the hero becomes the hero. It's somebody died.
Yes, right. Like it's couldn't we have done something different? But yeah, I'd say the first film kind of boils down to a whole bunch of people have some daddy issues. So second film. Second film falls into the category of the classic, let's throw two villains in here instead of just one, except that is very, very, very rarely done well. The only film that does it well, in my opinion, Batman Returns, when you got Catwoman and Penguin. That's a great film. Anyway, so we've got the dual villain follow-up film.
I was going to say, I think the third Batman film with Christian Bale, they brought back Scarecrow and they had Bane. Fuck me, Bane shits me. I'm tired. They had Bane and then they had Scarecrow, but Scarecrow we'd met previously. Scarecrow was only a minor character, but I think we had Ra's al Ghul's daughter, but I think they handled it a lot better. Like they actually put some time and effort in and character development, which is exactly key. And none of that happened with.
But even with all of those villains that they had in that film, Bane was still the big bad, and everyone else kind of worked around him. Versus like the way that they kind of do it in this film, it's like, nope. First we got one bad guy, and then your dad died. Now you're going to be a bad guy too. Like, it's just like, what are we doing? Anyway. So there we go. Second film, two villains for the price of one. Of course, with the sequel, we got relationship issues, of which Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy have in spades. He wants to be with her, but he promised her father that he would stay away, but he really loves her. And then he selfishly doesn't want her to leave to go to Oxford to further her career. But then he changes his mind and he's like, no, never mind. I'll follow you wherever you go, which is kind of creepy. And then she dies. Spoiler, sorry. Aside from all that, we do get a deeper explanation of what kind of work Peter's father was into at Oscorp. We get a little bit more of an explanation about the spider bite and why the spider venom works on Peter as well as it does. Another spoiler there. It's genetic. Somehow his father made these spiders with his own DNA. Anyway. There's also yeah, exactly. There's also the trope of this invisible worker guy, not physical, not actually invisible, but this guy who nobody pays attention to, Max. This invisible guy who gets shit on his whole life, and then he dies in an industrial accident, comes back to life, and he comes back to life as electricity. And I thought that was super weird. Because his body just disappears into electricity and then it comes back and reforms a body. I don't really understand how they thought that would work. That was so bizarre to me. I was like, but he disappeared into electricity and then when he comes back, he has a suit. Where did the suit come from? How does the suit turn into electricity as well? Anyway, I don't understand Electro. Clearly, and none of what they did with Electro makes any sense to me, especially he was also blue. God, I don't know. So yeah, that was weird. And then we get a new Green Lantern because we didn't have
Green Goblin.
Green Goblin. Sorry, Green Lantern. My bad. Wrong universe. My bad. So we get a new Green Goblin because we didn't have enough Green Goblin in the last trilogy where we had 2 films that involved 2 different Green Goblins, but whatever. Also, Dane DeHaan, very, very bad choice because he always looks sinister. Like there's never a part of Dane DeHaan's face where you think like, oh, he could be a good guy. Dane DeHaan is always a bad guy. Anyway, oh man. So Green Goblin, Electro, Spider-Man, and a dead girlfriend. Like,
oh, and Rhino.
Oh, and Rhino. Oh my God, that was forgettable. Like that just, I don't even know what accent Paul Giamatti was doing. He's supposed to be Russian, I'm assuming, because his name was Alexei. Maybe he was Ukrainian. But whatever he had going on, it was like, this is who okayed this movie? Like who watched this and was like, yep, that's the one. Let's send that to theaters.
I watched both of these at the cinema, and I get, like I say, I was a bit annoyed about the first one because of I wanted the Sam Raimi films. I was like, it hadn't even been that long for the third film. We got this brand new Amazing Spider-Man. So it wasn't really until we did last week's episode that I'd always thought that they cancelled it because of how shocking number 3 was. So I didn't realize actually it did really well.
Yeah.
So the only reason it got cancelled was purely just because of really, like they say, development hell. Like, so, and Sam Raimi fell out with Sony over being pushed to release something he didn't want to release. So, understandable, really. So, so I watched both of these movies in theaters after a while. Like, literally, I remember going to see that first one with like no one in the cinema, pretty much. Like, it's way pre-COVID, but it's just like, obviously I went when everyone had bloody seen it, and I was like, in the end I was like, do you know what, I've got to go out to see this film. Like, so I wasn't bored about it, but I love Spider-Man, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to suck this up. And
how bad could it be? Yeah.
Well, I didn't think about that necessarily, but yeah. Oh God, sorry. It is late while we're recording.
Yes, we are behind this week. Our apologies.
So I am slightly tired. Anyway, so the second one, like in terms of viewing it, like I feel like I wasn't as annoyed of it as Spider-Man 3. Like
no, but it was not that bad.
But
it wasn't.
But I just don't get why, like, non-MCU films seem to do this quite a lot. They seem to think, okay, sequel time, we need to make it bigger and better, so we'll stick more villains in. Right. Like, it literally never works. It never works. Unless you want to do an actual Sinister Six movie where it is purely like, yeah, we're going to have 6 villains together. Right. That you've maybe that you've previously met. Like, maybe, you know, you do a bit of world building, but I don't know.
But see, if you're going to do a film like a Sinister Six, like, even still, somebody has to be in charge. Like, that's if you're going to have more than one villain, there has to be a hierarchy that both the hero and the audience can follow, right? Like, you can't just randomly throw villains in a movie and then hope that it works, because it's like, but what is the power dynamic here? Like,
anyway, so what are your overall thoughts on both of these films?
I will say that the common thread that I did enjoy, which was different and it was nice to see, was Peter's parents. Like, that is just something that we had never seen before. Okay. And
actually, should we just talk about Peter's parents first then? I actually want to talk about that. Like, so I loved both those scenes, especially the second film. So when the second film opened with that bloody
plane
amazing
sequence,
that scene was just so good. Like, so the tiny bit we got to see about Peter's parents suddenly leaving in the night, dropping him off, kind of was setting up a bit of a mystery that you didn't really think about too much in the first one, although it kind of teased a mystery, but like not enough that ruined the first film, because you weren't like, what's going on. And what I loved was how the second one jumped straight into the mystery of their parents, to show them what happened. I thought that was actually brilliant. I was like, that is good planning. I have to say, that is good planning between the two films, that they teased you a little bit in film one, And then in film 2, the scene opens like it was almost a bit like a Man of Steel, Man of Steel, where you had it was all set on like the beginning.
Yes, where the beginning is on Krypton, and you just get that kind of cold Krypton open. Yeah.
And so this was a bit like that. Obviously not as CGI crazy, but it was just amazing to see like the relationship between the two of them. Between Richard and Mary. And seeing them saying like they know they've got to leave Peter for his benefit, etc. And then to see that he's desperately like Richard's trying to upload something, even in his dying moment. I just loved all of that. And then I get throughout the second Spider-Man film that we actually get to see Peter unraveling the mystery of like what he uploaded and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool that he found like this secret train underground base. I thought that was just amazing. So I personally loved those scenes. And if there had been a third one, I would love to have seen like maybe the third one open with something like
something different.
Obviously, no, I mean more of those two, but I know they died in that second one, but maybe like something.
But even pre, like when they were experimenting on stuff, like before they had Peter, like if they go all the way back, because who was it? Somebody in one of the films had said that Dr. Connors and Parker had been working on stuff for 14 years before he disappeared. So they had been working on stuff a long time before Peter was born.
Well, so imagine if they did a third one. So you go see Richard and Mary, say earlier on doing some sort of experiment or whatever, and then then say have the third one open with some sort of consequence of that experiment, like 15 years later or something. Like I don't know. Like I loved those beginnings. Like that was like a good common thread, I think.
Yeah.
So
I did. I enjoyed the mystery. It felt a lot like they were trying to do, like, it reminded me kind of Uncharted, where it's like you're telling a story, but at the same time, there's all of this like mystery and puzzle kind of element to it. And stuff like Uncharted or Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider, like I love those kinds of stories just because of the like solvability of it, right? Like it's a problem or it's a mystery that requires some kind of brain power or something to solve. So that's always really fun for me. I love that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and the whole secret with the Roosevelt Station and like you said, the train, and I just really enjoyed that. But I'm still like I still don't understand what Mary did. Like, did she work for Oscorp as well? Like,
I assume they both did, and they're both scientists. I assume that they were both together, and I don't know. I assume they were both in it together, but yeah, I just think those were amazing beginnings. And when the second one, I remember watching the second one, like, oh, this is flipping brilliant. I was really intrigued by it. It was very spy movie-ish, like, so, and it was quite cool to see like Peter's father, like, sort of in action, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like, so I thought what they did with the parents was amazing. So again, I know I'm saying the word amazing, but I just think it was amazing. Like it was great to see that different take. So in the Sam Raimi films, I think the Sam Raimi films, although they were kind of darkish, like they kind of with this, although there was elements of dark tones in the first trilogy, this one was a lot more serious. So
but this one they explained more. So I feel like in the original trilogy, we don't get the kind of emotion that we got in these. The first one was really like, we're making a movie about Spider-Man. And so like, here are all of these characters that you can remember from the comics, and look, we're bringing them to the screen. So to me, the first trilogy was more like, how much Spider-Man can we push onto people, versus in this one, because like people had already had 4 or 5 years of Spider-Man inundation, like they actually got a chance to kind of slow things down and get a little bit more emotional. Like I think the interactions between Peter and May also are really kind of sweet and really endearing, just because you kind of get a glimpse into how fucked up he is over his parents' disappearance and death, and trying to figure this out and how it's all connected. So I thought that was kind of a nice element. without just ignoring like the big elephant in the room, like, oh, you're an orphan and you live with your aunt and uncle, and then your uncle died and now it's just you and your aunt. Like, I thought that they kind of explain the family dynamic and show the family dynamic so much better than even better than Homecoming. Like, I think the relationship between like Tom Holland's Spidey and Marissa Tomei's Aunt May, I think they have a really good, like, they work really well together, and the relationship that they have is really kind of cool. But just there's just so much more emotion between Andrew Garfield and Sally Fields. Their
I thought
characters,
that when I saw, yeah. Do you know what, actually? Because we're talking about a minute ago about Richard and Mary, like, and obviously when Peter's doing that investigation side into like Peter into his father, and then he starts speaking to Aunt May, and that scene where they're both crying and emotional, and she's like, "You're my boy, you're my boy." Blah,
that
blah.
was really
Honestly,
sweet.
that, do you know, that actually kind of got me, because I was like, actually, this is far more powerful than what we had with Tobey Maguire and I can't remember the actress's name who played Aunt May, but like, and then I was actually thinking of obviously Tom Holland, and actually that for me has got to be one of the strongest relationships that we've seen between Peter and Aunt May.
Yes,
and
definitely.
That scene where she's like, "You're my boy, you're my boy."
Yep.
Like,
when she just flat out is like, I am not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you because they don't deserve me to give that much. Like, you're mine. I took care of you. I changed your diapers. I make sure you got to school. I made sure that you were fed. I gave you a place to live. Like, you're mine. You're my kid.
Maybe not diapers.
You're my kid, and I'm not gonna let them take that away from me. So I really did. I think these two films do the emotional connection between the characters better. Now that
I was going to say the emotional connection between Peter and Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy, I thought I enjoyed that too. Like,
I didn't.
I didn't. Like, there was so I think the thing is, I love Emma Stone. I think she's an amazing actress, and I think there was parts of the relationship between Peter and Emma that I did enjoy. So I mainly from her though. Like, I felt like he was very, I mean, maybe if you even take Emma Stone out of it, I felt like what we'd had with Tobey Maguire was more of a true Peter Parker, like a geeky science kid, where this one is like the cool emo kid. Like, and so in the first one we had the skateboarding scenes and stuff like that, and I was like, I don't even remember Peter Parker ever having a skateboard. Like, maybe I'm wrong,
and I don't remember Peter Parker ever being like that ridiculously chatty.
That, and even what he's generally fairly confident with it too. So he's like, he kind of comes across like a bit more of a cool kid. Like, if you think at the end of the first one, like Flash even comes up to him at the end and puts his arms around him, like as in like they're bros or whatever.
Right.
Although to talk about Flash briefly, I did love that scene after Uncle Ben died, where
that
Flash,
was sweet.
that was sweet as well, where Flash was like, "Okay, yeah, I have been a prick to you, but man, this doesn't matter now. Like, you've lost a family member. Like, I'm here for you." Like, and I thought, do you know what? That was actually quite sweet. Like, generally Flash is the bully of the school, but he's like, "I'm not going to bully you. I'm here for you." Like, and so I always think that's quite sweet when you see people that are in Speech Mark's bully character, like suddenly becoming the friend. Like,
and like, even when like he pushed him away and he was like, "Well, do you feel better?" Like,
yeah. Like,
did that help?
Yeah. Like, you can imagine like being in that situation. So so I can imagine just like, when someone, we've all been there, we've lost someone, and I think that was quite nice that Flash was there for him. So I think there's actually, as I'm talking, like, I'm kind of reflecting on these two movies a little bit, there's definitely some better emotional moments in these films that I think in the first trilogy. So
I think these films are far more human. Like there's still plenty of camp and plenty of cheesy stuff, but these films, because of the like emotion that they put into the characters, it feels heavier. Like it feels like it has a layer that the other three films didn't have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like it's quite. Yeah, I hadn't really like as we're talking. I'm kind of thinking through my own thoughts on it, like the emotional points, because I haven't watched these films for ages, and the second one I didn't watch as much. I did really like the first one. For me, I felt like the first one I enjoyed more than the second one.
Definitely.
So re-watching the second one for this podcast, I was like, okay, so I knew the first one kind of inside out, but the second one, when I was re-watching it, I was like, I obviously there was a lot of problems in the second one.
So. Yeah, I really just did not enjoy the relationship between Peter and Gwen in the second one. Like, I just felt like he was such a selfish prick. Like, interrupting her interview at Oxford and just being so wishy-washy the whole film about his relationship with her. Like, I want to be together. No, I can't be together. Well, I made a promise to your dad, but no, I can't. And it's just like, dude, make a fucking decision.
Stand by it. Like, if you're gonna make the decision to leave her alone,
right. But also, like, don't shit on her shine either. Like, if she's working to get into Oxford and she finally gets in, like, you should be excited. Don't be all like, oh no, you're gonna leave me all by myself, and then what am I gonna do? That was totally lame. I hated that.
There were some moments between them I found quite funny. Like, even when he was at the Oxford University, he's like, yeah, I'm from Harvard. I'm trying to get. Like, I did laugh at that. Like, so there was some good moments between them, but I guess it's a bit like Spider-Man 3. Like, Peter Parker was a bit selfish then. Like, you know, kissing that movie's version of Gwen Stacy in front of Mary Jane. Like, that was fucking terrible. Like, and
they shot some Mary Jane film footage for that film, and it just never made it into the film.
So that was the girl from
Shailene Woodley.
Divergent
series.
That's it, Divergent. That's what I was thinking of. I was like, what's that young adult series? Yeah. That got those films never finished. There was meant to be another film of that, but yeah, she shot scenes as Mary Jane for Spider-Man 2. But do you know what? I'm glad they weren't in there.
Yeah,
I'm glad that they didn't do that, because there was already way too many people in the second film. Way too many. Like, so the second film, I think we've talked about that a little bit, but yeah, I mean, so actually, let's talk about which is better, one or two.
The first one.
So the first one, I think, for me, is a lot stronger generally. So I loved a lot of the relationship building that was done between Aunt May and Uncle Ben. It kind of felt more real than what we had before. I guess it was more of that time. I didn't like the emo Peter Parker-ness, like, that was going on, like, and him trying to be like
the skater boy,
the skater boy, cool kid. I just wasn't into that. Like, I don't know why they thought, okay, we had geek guy in the first trilogy, so we're going to go cool emo kid now. Like, and when he walked, even before he got his powers and walks up to Flash saying, put him down, Flash, put him down, Flash, put him down, Eugene. I was like, Peter Parker, like, would never have done this before he became Spider-Man. Like, he just wouldn't have. But anyway, I did love Emma Stone though, like, as Gwen Stacy. I thought it was great. Like, she was so strong throughout both movies. I love the fact that she also in the second one uses her brain, like, to solve stuff. And even she makes a dig at him to say, well, now we know why you're number 2 at Midtown. I was like, yeah. So, and actually, one of the bits of me which I thought was brilliant was when she's saying she's going to go to the power station, and he webs her to the car, and she shouts out Peter, like, angrily by accident, and then instantly puts her hand over her mouth, like, realizing what she's done. I was like, I can imagine people doing that in real life. So,
yes, exactly.
So
I also liked in the second one where she was like, this is my decision. He was like, no, you can't come, it's too dangerous, blah 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 blah. And she's like, no, I'm coming, I'm doing this because I choose to. Although I think that was the wrong decision. If I were dating Spider-Man and some shit like that was going down, I'd be like, call me later. I am not about to go to a crime scene with you, buddy. Sorry.
But do you know what I thought was like, of these movies, who was the bigger hero? And you know, of the two of them, like who is the hero of these movies? It's a big question, and like sacrifice, isn't it? So Emma Stone, like if you think about it, getting that power back on and all those planes up in the air and stuff like that, and the amount of damage that could be done by having no power on throughout that city, like Emma Stone was the one who got the power back on. Okay, Peter Parker obviously helped, but Emma Stone really was the driving force between trying to save everybody, and those two planes almost hit each other. And if Emma Stone Gwen Stacy hadn't got involved, I mean, what would have happened? And like, she knew the dangers. Like that's why he stopped her, because he knew it was dangerous.
Right.
She was like, I don't care about the dangers. I want to help. So she threw herself into the fire, knowing full well like what could happen. So in terms of what's better, I think yes, I prefer the first one. I always think a movie with one villain is the way to go.
But we got a really great villain development in the first film. Like,
the Lizard,
by the time we finally get to this version of Lizard, like we had like learned so much about Dr. Connors and the pressure that he was under. And on the one hand, like he still wanted to be like the good scientist, and he was like, no, we're not pushing this to human trials, it's not ready for human trials yet. And then he turns around and turns himself into a lab rat, and it's like, okay, now like you were on the right track and now you've just gone off the rails, sir.
I think the Lizard probably is definitely up. I would say it's up there in terms of my top lot of Spider-Man villains. He was so good, obviously played by an amazing actor in Reese Evans. I don't know how to say his surname. Evans.
Oh.
But anyway, like he's an amazing actor and such a strong actor and such a strong presence. So to see him play the Lizard was so good. It was so enjoyable. And this is the thing, it's with the first one, you've got to do the world building again. And you've got to do they chose to do the origin story again. And they had to do the character development of the villain, the character development of Gwen Stacy, which I guess we got to see her family. And I did love that moment though on the top of the roof with Gwen Stacy and Peter, where he webs her and pulls her back and kisses her. I was like, okay, that was kind of your version of the Sam Raimi upside down kiss thing. Like, so they obviously wanted their own kind of weird spiderish kiss.
Upside down kiss will always be like ridiculously iconic.
I mean that's obviously going to beat this, but that was their take. That was there when he webbed her and span her back. Like, but anyway, when he swings off into the city just after that, and she's like, "Oh God, I'm in trouble." Like, I was like, "Oh, you've got me." Like, even at the time, I was like, "Got me." Like, I love that moment. So. I really enjoyed the first one. I think the first one is a really good film. I honestly wish it hadn't happened and that we got another Tobey Maguire film. I think we should have got Spider-Man 4. I do think Sony should have been more patient, but they weren't. So, but if you put that aside, I did enjoy Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, I did.
And Spider-Man 2, I did not enjoy. That they were doing not just world building in number 2, they were trying to do universe building.
But like everything was way too accelerated. Like by the time, like we don't meet Harry Osborn until 20-30 minutes into the film, and it's like maybe even longer than that. And he's got the same degenerative disease that his father has because it's genetic. But at the same time, like Norman Osborn was, I'm gonna guess, like well into his 60s or 70s when he died. So why is it that your son has the same genetic disease, but all of a sudden at the age of 20 he's dying? Like, that timeline made no sense whatsoever. Like that whole thing with Norman, I don't know why they felt the need to bring in the Green Goblin so quickly. Like, we could have just had a story about Norman coming back to Oscorp, taking over, and then like slowly turning into a villain. Like, he still could have released Electro onto the city or whatever, but like there was no reason
save the Green Goblin part.
Save that for a third film. I don't know why they did that.
I definitely think that could have been something they could have done, was introduce more Harry Osborn as a friend to Peter.
Yes.
And then kind of set up that they could have even said the genetic virus is hitting you a lot earlier. They could
Right.
they could have ended. Maybe they
It could have been a throwaway line. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it could, or something like, say, at the end of the film, you know, that like maybe Harry's like, okay, now your father's died, you're in charge,
Mhm.
and then maybe some doctor comes in and says, but look, Harry, you know, we've done some tests or something. I don't know, whatever, like you say, to say it's advancing quicker.
Yes.
And so then he's like, well, I'm going to have to do something, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of ends like that, all ominous.
Yeah.
No,
but the way that they accelerated that timeline didn't make any sense. It served no purpose. It didn't add anything to the film. No. And I just, again, like, I guess with the way that I feel about Topher Grace as Venom, like, I think Dane DeHaan was poorly cast. Like, because the whole point of I think the whole point of the Osborns in general is that they're those kind of like rich, smarmy bastards. Like, they're charming, but at the same time, like, you hate their guts. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but with Dane DeHaan is just like, no, you look like a bad guy. Like, you literally, from the moment you walked on screen, you look like a villain. There is no way that the audience even had a modicum of like sympathy for you before you turned into this crazy goblin character.
I think that how I feel about Lex Luthor and Topher Grace as Venom. So Lex Luthor from the Batman Superman film.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg, worst Lex Luthor ever. I know people disagree. I know other people love that version of Lex Luthor. I didn't. It wasn't for me. I would much rather have had a
older Lex.
Well, do you know what I think? One of my favorite Lex Luthors is Michael Rosenbaum, who's Smallville. Lex. Yeah, he was amazing. They should have just brought him back. They should have just, well, no, but if you think about it, they brought what's his name? JJ, who played JJ from JJ Jameson from Spider-Man.
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, they brought him back for No Way Home. So just, who cares? Bring Michael Rosenbaum into Batman vs Superman. Like, he would have been a far stronger Lex Luthor, honestly.
Yes.
He would have stole that movie. Anyway, I know I'm really digressing, but this Green Goblin was terrible.
It's terrible.
Like, in so many ways.
I can understand you. It like introduce the concept. We when at the very end of the film where you're walking by and you see all of these suits in Oscorp, like you see Dr. Octopus's like arms, you see the Rhino suit, like you can see all of the suits. You could have alluded to the Green Goblin. You could have even alluded to Harry hearing voices because of his disease. Like, there were so many things that you could have done instead of bringing in Green Goblin the way that you did. And it served no purpose. Like, it really didn't add anything to the film. Like, having Electro was fine as like the main villain, and then like Harry can be like secondary because Harry is manipulative and using Electro to his own means, but like,
don't do it in this movie. I think they should have done it. They should have done it a little bit how they did that. Harry Osborn from the Sam Raimi films.
James Franco.
Yeah, James Franco. How James Franco was kind of in all three movies, but you saw the sort of escalation of his character between the three films. Yes. And that worked. And I think if they really wanted to bring in Electro and Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn into the second movie, they should have made Electro primary villain.
Yes.
And Harry Osborn, like you say, sitting in the background. And then maybe the third film, you see him like becoming Green Goblin. Becoming Green Goblin. So I think that would have been a better way to go. But I guess what do we know? We're just the fans.
Yeah, we're just fans. We know nothing.
We're just the guys who pay to go see these films.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Anyway, between both movies, do you have a favorite character?
Favorite character? Honestly, in the first film, Uncle Ben was my favorite.
Yeah, he was good. I liked Uncle Ben.
Yeah, I really liked his he kind of had a firm hand with Peter, and he really without saying the line as we know it, like everything he tried to teach Peter all revolved around responsibility. Like, look here, you messed up. Now I got to take another shift at work, which means you got to go pick your aunt up at 9:00. Like, and then you didn't do that, and you need to go like everything that happened between them it's almost like he was always kind of trying to get Peter to see a lesson in something. And he wasn't just in the Tobey Maguire versions, like Uncle Ben was in it for that. Like he was in there for a hot minute and then he was gone. But we actually got to see some of Uncle Ben and how
relationship building, yeah,
right the relationship
yeah.
between him and Peter. And so I really kind of enjoyed that aspect. Plus, I just love Martin Sheen. So yeah, I would have to say that Uncle Ben was my favorite from the first film.
I think my favorite character, I think it's a good choice, by the way, Martin Sheen. I really did love this version of Uncle Ben, but yeah, my favorite character was Gwen Stacy. I think she's the hero of these films. She understands the word hero also means sacrifice. Like she put the city of New York in front of her own needs. So she saved, I mean, think how many people she saved. Like I know Peter Parker as Spider-Man did help.
Yeah.
Like, but the fact that she died to save people, like, I mean, that's just like, that's what heroes do. Like,
yeah.
I mean, so let me just tell you a quick story. So obviously, if you're a comic book fan, everybody knows that Gwen Stacy dies in the comics. Like the death of Gwen Stacy is a big story. I don't think I've read it from memory, but I did read the Clone Saga, the original 60s Clone Saga, where they brought a clone of her back. But we should actually do the death of Gwen Stacy on our Late to the Party book club, maybe.
Put it on the list, man.
Yeah, we should definitely do it. But anyway, so I've known about that story for years and years. Like, so I remember so before number 2 came out, I remember mentioning to a friend of mine, like, that Gwen Stacy dies in the comics, and I even said about the webbing and how she kind of snaps and stuff like that. So I said to him, like, it was about a week before number 2 came out, and I said, I really hope that they don't do that, like, or at least wait till the third one and maybe end the trilogy like that, whatever. I said, but I can see that Sony probably will do that because they'll go for the shock factor. That's what I was a bit worried about. Anyway, so I didn't go the first week or so that the movie came out. And then the friend that I mentioned that story to goes, "Oh, have you seen Amazing Spider-Man 2?" I went, "No, I haven't, no." I went, "Have you?" He went, yeah, sorry. I was like, "All right, okay." I went, "Don't say anything." He went, "Oh, no, I just wanted to tell you one thing." I went, "No, look, just don't tell me anything."
No.
He goes, no. He goes, "I just want to say one thing." I was like, "Okay, all right, well, look, just as long as it's not a spoiler." No, it's not a spoiler. He's like, "You know that thing that you were worried about happening?" I went, "What?" "You know about Gwen Stacy?" I went, yeah. "Well, that happens." I was like,
"How is that not a spoiler?"
And I literally, my mouth just dropped. I went, "Are you actually kidding me? Like, you've just told me."
Way to ruin that. Thanks.
Like, and he was like, "Yeah, but you said she dies in the comics." I went, "Yes, it doesn't mean that she's going to die in Amazing Spider-Man 2, though." Like, so I could have still got into that film and been shocked. Now I know it's going to happen. I was so annoyed. I was like, it's like literally only been out about 5 days and you've just ruined it for me. I was like, how has this happened? Anyway.
Are you still friends with this guy?
Yeah, I am still friends with him. So anyway, he's what can I say? Like, he's a nice guy, but yeah, I'm not gonna say anymore. Right, yeah, my favorite character, Emma Stone, Gwen Stacy. I think Emma Stone is a really strong, versatile actress anyway. I think I've loved everything she's in. I mean, I think the first movie I ever saw Emma Stone in was Easy A.
Easy A is fantastic.
I thought it's a hilarious film. And there's so many things I've seen Emma Stone in. I have not seen La La Land, by the way. But so many things I see her in. And I think she was so strong and so much stronger than Peter. She was like, she knew what she wanted.
She was decisive.
She knew she wanted to be with Peter. She knew she wanted to go to London. She knew all the things. Like, in fact, she knew how to save the city. She even knew how to sort his webbing out. Like, she should have been flipping Spider-Woman is what she should have been. So anyway, when I was watching this film, I was like, okay, yeah, definitely 100. These films are definitely 100% favorite character. But the one thing I kept thinking was, I mean, we're literally like 5-6 days away now from No Way Home.
Yeah.
I honestly hope that she's in it as Spider Gwen, or like, I know they don't call her Spider Gwen, they call her Ghost Spider now. Her name is. Honestly, I hope somehow they paid Emma Stone to come back. Like, let's see it. Like, that would be flipping amazing to have a live action.
You've got your wish, and I have my wish for what I hope to see in
I would hope I hope Miles Morales is in it, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like with the Miles Morales thing, that it more would be like, I feel like it would be kind of like after the titles.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's definitely post credit. If anything, it's post credit.
Because I feel like they know that if they put Miles Morales as a solo Spider-Man, that would be amazing. People would go and see Miles Morales. So I feel like they wouldn't put him into the main film.
Yeah.
Where they might with Emma Stone, because we've seen her before. So,
well, because your theory before was, if all of these villains are coming back because they had all died in their Spider-Verses, well, what if all the people who died come back? What if Uncle Ben comes back? What if Emma Stone? You got me saying Emma Stone. What if Gwen Stacy comes back? You know what I mean?
Well, like, they'll never bring back Uncle Ben, but because obviously that's part of Peter Parker's mythology, is that Peter Parker is dead. I don't believe at any point they'll never bring Uncle Ben is one of the only comic book characters that they will never bring back. They just won't bring him back.
Yeah, I guess.
They won't. So I don't believe, it's like Superman's parents. They brought his dad back briefly, but they're back to being dead again, like his parents from Krypton. But yeah, they kind of, there's a few characters that are pretty much
Batman.
always. Well, yeah, Batman's parents. Like, okay, so there's an alternate version of Batman's dad that is Batman and is alive and kind of a bit villainish, but it's generally, there are certain characters that you can't bring back because they are the building blocks of the hero of the book.
They're the catalyst that brought the hero to life.
Yeah. So anyway, let's summarize that a little bit. We'll move on from that. Favorite villain. So we've got, before you say anything, we've got Electro, we've got Rhino, we've got Green Goblin, and we've got the Vulture. So we've got 4 villains across both films. I know there's a few mysterious sort of characters.
You mean Lizard, not Vulture?
Sorry, Lizard. Yeah. Lizard. They're both green. Got Lizard, got Electro, we've got Rhino, and Green Goblin. Goblin 2, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't really feel like it's a proper Green Goblin. He wasn't even wearing a mask. So, but anyway, who is your favorite?
Lizard.
Do you know what? Hands down, agree with you. The first movie, villain, brilliant.
This guy.
Like you say, there was amazing characterization of him. We got to see the journey of going from sort of down on his luck scientist to full-blown crazy.
But also at the end, he saved Spider-Man.
Yeah, and at the end, when he becomes human again, it's like, well, actually, this is, the captain's down there, you need to go.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, he was amazing. And when actually, this is kind of heading into our next point. From both the movies, who are you hoping will be in No Way Home, if at all?
From these films specifically, I really think it would be interesting. I know we already.
We know we got. I was gonna say we know we got Electro. So
yeah, we got Electro. There was a tiny thing that maybe we have Lizard as well. But I really think, as much as I dislike it, it would be really interesting to see 2 goblins in the same Spider-Verse.
I was thinking that.
Like we already know we're getting Willem Dafoe, which he's the OG. Like, come on, nobody is as good as him. But it would be really crazy if we got Willem Dafoe and the Dane DeHaan version of Green Goblin.
I think that would be cool. And also, I don't know if they'll bring James Franco back, but
he's got a lot of drama attached to him at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
Or what if they had a multiple Mays? Like, what if we get, well, original Aunt May passed away a couple of years ago, I believe. But I mean, what if we end up getting Sally Field and Marissa Tomei?
I guess anything is possible in the Spider-Verse. So.
Yeah, this is true. Very true.
I think the person I would love to see would be Gwen Stacy coming back as Ghost Spider. I think that would be amazing to see a live action Spider-Man sort of crossover film and have Gwen Stacy be in it. I'd love if they could bring Emma Stone back and make her Ghost Spider. So that for me would be, I've no idea if it's going to happen, but I think it would be amazing to happen. So.
Oh my gosh. I just imagine, like, I am going to have to not be on social all of next week. Like, It's
It's gonna
insane.
be everywhere. It's gonna be everywhere. So from like Wednesday
I just gotta make it to
onwards,
Thursday. Like I just gotta make it to
I'm seeing it
Thursday.
24. I'm seeing it about 24 hours before you.
I'm gonna block you. You better not spoil anything for me.
I was literally just about to say I'm gonna like screenshot the ending or something. And like you open up your phone, but what the fuck? Like,
I would fly to England and beat your ass.
Imagine if I like screenshotted like, I don't know, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield swinging across the screen and send it to you. Like,
I would quit this podcast. That's what I would
do. You know what I feel like would be really funny is like getting some Spider-Man toys, like, and then like take like kind of having a backdrop of New York City or something, like, and then going spoiler alert, like, and sending it to you.
Nope.
Like,
nope. I see. Just because of that, I'm blocking you two next week. You're getting the block next week. You better believe it.
So after your film, like, that's it. I'll suddenly notice that I've become unblocked.
Yes, like, I'm gonna block you on the 15th, and I will unblock you on the 16th when I am walking out of the theater.
Oh, that's hilarious. It's gonna be like, I literally have your Skype, like...
Oh yeah, no, I'm just, you know what? I'm just gonna leave my phone at home. From Tuesday on, I'm just not gonna have a phone.
So for next week, you're gonna be living in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you got a pager?
Maybe. Maybe I do.
Well, how funny would it be? How funny would it be if like you pick up your pager and it says message from Mark, and it scrolls across the screen, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are in the movie, like, and you're like, the fucker, like,
for starters, that is not how pagers work.
Oh, I never had a pager, like, so
you can only send numbers on a pager.
Could you? Oh, could you not send
messages? So you could put in a sequence of numbers, and like if you flip the pager the right way, instead of like 73110, it would read hello.
You sure you couldn't send messages? You sure you couldn't?
Not on a pager.
I don't know, but I never had a pager. It's a bit of a slightly alien concept. I remember my dad had a pager, which now looking back is actually kind of funny. Like, only because it's like it's asking you to call them. Like, right. I mean, so I don't understand why anyone ever had a pager.
A lot of doctors had them.
Oh yeah, I get
like
that
at hospitals
bit,
and stuff. Yeah. That makes sense. But yeah, so basically it boils down to I'm going back to the Stone Ages for next week just to see what I can do to not be spoiled.
So in summary, I want Gwen Stacy to come back. And who did you say?
I want to see two goblins. Because I would really love to see a sassy Willem Dafoe be like, you could never be me.
So it's ratings time. So we've got two movies. Dear. We've got two movies. We have a rating system out of 5. So you didn't see them when they first came out.
I did not.
Let's just rate it now, like what your thoughts were. So
okay. First film, I would give it, let's see. The last trilogy I gave, it was like a 4.5 and a 4. So I would give the first film a 3.5.
I think 3.5 for Andrew Garfield's first movie is probably about right. But I think the second
one gets a 2.5.
I was literally going to say a 2. So
hey, look at that. You're lower than me for once.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of problems there, as we all know. So I would give it a 2, the second one. So
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think 2 is probably about right for the second one. There was just I don't know what's going on. So
there was they didn't know what was going on at all.
I'm really hoping though that we see these characters back in this film and they kind of redeem themselves. So
I
guess we'll see. So right. So next episode.
Next episode.
We've got a bit too crazy. We've got a crazy week next week, so we've got 2 episodes we're going to do.
We're squeezing it in at the end of the year.
We're going to do No Way Home trilogy next week. So we're going to discuss all 3 of them.
We're doing the whole trilogy? Oh my gosh! I thought we were just doing No Way Home.
No, but we're kind of like having like an off-air conversation on air now. Like, I kind of felt like with the first 2, we would just discuss them both in brief, like sort of 10 minutes. Each, and then jump into the third one. But it is that No Way Home episode next week. Man. but yeah, we'll talk about all three, but it's going to be mainly the third one. So we will kind of, we'll let the summary queen, aka Jasmin, summarize.
Honestly, I have no idea how I got that title. Like, we're gonna have to figure that out.
Oh, I can come up with worse names if you want.
No, yes, I know you can.
All of them are abusive.
They are definitely not for on air.
I'm not that horrible to her, by the way. I was actually quite nice to you before we recorded. I sent you that nice GIF.
Yeah. Okay.
And I said to you, I never do this. I'm not always horrible to you, but like I was like, I just so that people were wondering, I sent a little virtual hug to Jasmin.
Yeah, we're both having a rough week. So
yeah, you didn't return it. Anyway.
Sorry, Mark.
Anyway, so No Way Home trilogy. This show is like so gone crazy. And then we are gonna attempt some sort of live next Saturday. We'll put more details on Instagram. Yeah. It's gonna be a
Christmas extravaganza.
I actually have completely lost track with the amount of people that have said they're gonna come on it. There's gonna be a lot more.
Wow. Yeah. Okay then.
Yeah.
Our screens are gonna look like the Brady Bunch. Like it's just gonna be like 9 blocks of faces. So
I think we're planning on going on YouTube on that one, like live. So
that'll be even better. Nine people live on YouTube. You have to come and watch.
I don't know if it's 9, but it's definitely more than 5. So
it's going to be a 7.5 hour episode. So just stick with us the whole time.
So that episode next Saturday on the 18th is going to be 11 p.m. UK time, and that's going to be 5 p.m. CST. Is that right?
Yep.
And that's going to be our end of year show. So we're going to talk about the best of. So
yes.
And
then we get 2 weeks off, 2 very deserved weeks off, or very. I think
it's almost 3 weeks. I think it's almost 3 weeks off.
That's great. Even better.
Yeah. Like I wish it was 3 weeks off work.
Right. Well, so we can actually get some rest.
yeah. I have got 10 days off over Christmas. But,
whatever. Yeah. I get Christmas Eve and Christmas off, and then New Year's Eve and New Year's Day off. That's it. I have 2 days.
I've literally I had to use holiday. Like I didn't, I think the way it works though, because we have Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and New Year's Day as bank holidays over here. Mm-hmm. So it always works that you only have to take 3 days of your annual leave to get 10 days off. So you should move to the UK, Jasmin.
Maybe we'll see. It's too cold there though. So no.
Not all year round.
Yeah, but you get 10 months of cold weather.
I think 10 months is a bit harsh.
not you have 9 months of cold weather.
Okay. Thank you. 9 months. Yeah.
No. I am tropical. I have to stay within the tropics. I cannot.
It's literally been raining all week. Literally all week. It's been raining. I've had to walk the dog a couple of times in the soaking wet.
You should get him a cute little raincoat.
Oh, we got him a coat.
Oh my gosh. You have to send me pictures. I want a cute coat.
No, but he's eaten the zip off, so I have to get another coat now. I
love this dog.
He's only 4 months old. He eats everything, everything.
I want to meet him.
He would probably eat me if I wasn't looking. So.
I mean, just give him some time. Pretty soon he'll be like half your size. So
he tries to bite me. He tries to bite me as it is. So
I keep telling you should bite him back.
I'm not doing that. I don't think anyone's biting their dog back.
I used to bite my dogs. If they bit me, I'd bite them back, and they would always look at me like, "Did you bite me?" Yes, I did.
I don't think you should
stop biting me.
No, when he's trying to bite me, we kind of play around. So it doesn't bother me too much if he bites me, but obviously my kids, it obviously hurts them.
Well, yeah.
So obviously I have to be careful. But yeah, anyway, 4-month-old puppy, he's crazy. So, but yeah, my 10 days off though, I've got so much I want to catch up on. I keep getting this up here and there. Literally, this is last week's comics that only arrived yesterday. And I've got another 20 parts of those that I'd like to get through. So, as well as some TV series, I might watch Cowboy Bebop. I'd like to actually. I haven't played my PlayStation for ages. I'd like to do some of that. I kind of just fancy just, other than walking the bloody dog, like chilling out a little bit.
Yes, just
like,
relax.
Yeah. I'd like to actually just like maybe do some chill, like you know. So anyway, do you want to tell them about the book club?
So don't forget, we did start a second podcast series where we tackle some of the most essential graphic novels of all time. Our 13th Late to the Party book club episode is going to be dropping pretty soon. It is Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is Scott Pilgrim Volume 2, which we arbitrarily decided during that episode that Scott Pilgrim will now be an annual Christmas book. We refuse to hear anything to the contrary. You heard it here first. Scott Pilgrim is now a Christmas series. Okay. That's just the end of this. So that episode,
we did volume 1 in December last year. Volume 2 will come out this, and basically between the three of us, we've decided that's it. Every December we're doing Scott Pilgrim.
We're doing Scott Pilgrim. So we were joined by Rockin' Ravi of the Pop Culture Philosopher. So he will be returning next year for our Christmas episode of Scott Pilgrim.
I'm sure that we'll have Robbie back again before December. But, so we've recorded the episode already, but we're going to drop it the week before Christmas Eve.
Yes, because again, we are making this a Christmas thing. So you're welcome in advance. Yeah. And as far as our Late to the Party series, it will be returning in 2022. We don't know what we're starting with just yet. We will figure that out and we will let you know.
Well, I think we have an idea of the creator. We just haven't picked a book yet. So you can follow Geeks Unleashed everywhere. Social media is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. as Just Geeks Unleashed. And as Jasmin said at the beginning, if you want to support us, we're on Ko-Fi and we are on Patreon. Links are in the podcast or on YouTube below. So just click those links and drop some cash. Cheers.
Yeah, buy us a comic. And please, you can get this podcast wherever you get podcasts. Google, Podbean, Apple, Spotify. We're everywhere. So leave us a 5-star review and tell your geeky friends.
And if you're on YouTube, press the like, the subscribe, the bell, and say hello. Actually, like we said at the beginning, drop some ratings of Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 below. Love to hear what you got to say.
Definitely.
So anyway, we will see you next week. Bye.
Good journey.
Good journey.